Life, for each of us, is akin to a river, ceaselessly flowing towards the vast ocean. As it rounds a bend, the river slows, becoming gentler, much like the twilight years of our lives. Entering this phase, we often carry numerous expectations, especially the desire for reciprocation for the kindness we have shown. Today, let us contemplate a unique period in life, our twilight years. As the youthful years recede, do we find ourselves lost in regret, or submerged in worldly anxieties? This discourse will open a doorway, guiding you to rediscover inner peace, unveiling the true beauty of aging through the light of Buddhist wisdom. Let us listen together, contemplate deeply, so that every passing moment becomes meaningful and complete. A profoundly insightful and common issue in human existence is the disillusionment of give and take. This is not merely a personal experience but also a psychological principle, a life lesson that each of us, to varying degrees, must confront. From our earliest childhood, we are nurtured on fairy tales and romantic movies, where goodness is always rewarded, and love invariably finds complete reciprocation. We grow up believing that if we give one, we will receive one, perhaps even more. We trust in the universe's fairness, in the simple law of cause and effect, sow what you reap. And in our relationships, from family and friends to romantic love, we unconsciously build expectations of reciprocity, of returned favor. We assume that if we are dutiful children, our parents will love us unconditionally. If we are sincere friends, our friends will always stand by us in times of trouble. If we are ideal lovers, our partners will be faithful for life. We expect this give and take as a natural order, an immutable law of life. However, life does not always unfold like a rosy film. We gradually realize that the human heart is inherently unpredictable, and the world is intrinsically impermanent. Parents, despite their love for their children, have limitations and make mistakes. Friends, even close ones, may drift away due to life's diverging paths. Lovers, despite heartfelt vows, may change their minds due to temptations and unforeseen events. Unmet expectations and unreturned kindness lead us to feelings of emptiness, disappointment, even profound suffering. We ask ourselves, why have I treated them so well, yet they treat me this way? We feel injustice, betrayal, and a sense that the world is cruel and meaningless. In Buddhism, this is precisely disillusionment, the collapse of illusions and expectations we have painstakingly constructed. And it is this attachment to expectations that the Buddha clearly pointed out as the root of suffering. Why is this so? Because, when we cling to expectations, we bind ourselves to a rigid mold, a predetermined script. We forget that life is inherently a constantly changing flow, where nothing and no one can remain static. Human beings, like all phenomena, are subject to the law of impermanence. Today they may love us, tomorrow they may be indifferent, or even turn away from us. Not because they intentionally cause us pain, but simply because the river of life has carried them to another bend, because conditions have changed, because their minds have shifted. Buddhist teachings instruct that to liberate ourselves from suffering, we must let go of attachment, especially attachment to the expectation of give and take. This does not mean we become apathetic or indifferent to those around us. On the contrary, it means we learn to love unconditionally, to give without expecting returns. In modern life, we are increasingly prone to falling into the trap of give and take. Social media, with its likes, shares, and comments, inadvertently creates a virtual yardstick for self-worth and relationships. We post an article, a photo, and expect responses from everyone. When we do not receive the anticipated attention, we feel let down, even hurt. We compare ourselves to others, envy the virtual successes on social media, and forget our true self-worth. In relationships, especially romantic ones, the expectation of give and take becomes even more burdensome. We want our partners to always care, nurture, and pamper us, to always meet our every need and desire. When they fail to do so, we feel disappointed, angry, and relationships easily fracture. Work is not exempt from this principle. We expect that if we work diligently, dedicating ourselves to the company, we will be promoted, receive a raise, and be recognized. But in reality, promotion is not always based on ability. It depends on many other factors such as opportunity, connections, even luck. When career expectations are not realized, we feel discouraged, lose motivation, and easily fall into a negative state. To overcome the disillusionment of give and take, in modern life, we need to practice mindfulness, which is to live fully in the present moment, observing our minds objectively, without judgment or expectation. When an expectation arises in the mind, recognize it, acknowledge it, but do not let it control your actions and emotions. Ask yourself, why do I expect this? Is this expectation realistic? Will this expectation bring happiness to myself and others? When we look deeply into the nature of expectation, we will gradually realize its meaninglessness and the bondage it creates. Replace expectations with gratitude. Instead of demanding that others treat us well, be grateful for what we have, for what others have given us, however small. Cherish the present moments, the relationships around us, and live each moment fully. And most importantly, cultivate unconditional love in your heart. Learn to give without expecting to receive, to love without demanding reciprocation. When we live with unconditional love, we become freer, more peaceful, and much happier. We will no longer be bound by expectations and disappointments, but will live a more meaningful and complete life. And when we have passed through this stage of disillusionment, when we have learned the lesson of impermanence, of letting go of attachment, it is also when we are ready to step into a new phase, a new journey, the journey of returning to inner energy. Indeed, you have touched upon an aspect of utmost importance and practicality in the spiritual journey, especially as we enter the stage where old age arrives, physical strength wanes, and the external world gradually becomes unfamiliar. This is not a decline, but a transformation, an opportunity for us to return to inner energy, a priceless resource often overlooked during our years of outward striving and worldly pursuits. Throughout life, we are often caught in the whirlwind of existence, engrossed in pursuing external goals, fame, wealth, status, and social relationships. We pour our heart, strength, and energy into conquering the external world, building careers, nurturing families, and asserting ourselves in society. We believe that happiness and success lie in what we achieve, what we possess, and what others acknowledge in us. However, as we reach a certain age, when health declines, when social roles gradually shift, and when surrounding relationships become sparse, we begin to feel an emptiness, a sense of loss, a disorientation. The external world, once the center of our lives, now seems distant, no longer bringing the satisfaction and joy it once did. This is not a tragedy, but a reminder from life, an opportunity for us to reevaluate true values, the real priorities in life. This is not a time to regret the past or worry about the future, because both past and future are abstract concepts, lacking substantial reality. The past is gone, the future has not arrived, only the present is real. And it is in this present moment that we can return to inner energy, an inexhaustible resource, always available within each of us. The golden time for us to reclaim energy, this statement carries a profound meaning. Energy here is not merely physical strength, but also mental and spiritual energy, those precious resources that have been neglected in the cycle of life. Throughout our youth, we often squander energy recklessly, chasing desires, cravings, and illusions of the external world. We forget to nurture our souls, cultivate wisdom, and foster inner virtues. In old age, as physical energy diminishes, it is also when we have the chance to reclaim the spiritual and mental energies that have been neglected. This is a time for us to turn inward, not to escape life, but to listen to the voice of the soul, to discover the hidden treasures within ourselves. Listening to the voice of the soul, this is a process that requires stillness, patience, and honesty with oneself. In a noisy and bustling life, we are often disturbed by external sounds, the voices of public opinion, praise and criticism, temptations and anxieties. We forget to listen to the voice from deep within our souls, the voice of intuition, of conscience, of our inherent goodness. When we turn inward, when we listen to the voice of the soul, we will gradually realize that true happiness is not found outside, but lies deep within each person's soul. We often seek happiness in distant things, in fleeting things, in fragile relationships. We forget that true happiness, eternal peace, is always available within us, like a precious gem hidden deep within a rough shell. Buddhist teachings state, mind is the forerunner of all things, mind is supreme, mind is the maker of all things. All suffering and happiness are created by the mind. If the mind is at peace, the world is at peace. If the mind is pure, the realm is pure. Happiness is not something external that we must seek, compete for, or possess. Happiness is a state of mind, an inner quality that we can nurture and cultivate ourselves. Seeking inner peace and inherent self-respect, this is the noble goal we need to aim for in the stage of returning to inner energy. Peace here is not external tranquility, but inner stability, the stillness of wandering thoughts, afflictions, and worries. Inherent self-respect is not arrogance or complacency, but the cherishing of self-worth, the belief in inner potential, the realization of the Buddha nature inherent in each of us. To achieve this peace and self-respect, we need to practice meditation, an ancient yet highly effective spiritual practice. Meditation is not something mysterious or esoteric, but simply stopping and observing. Stop external activities, stop wandering thoughts, stop chaotic emotions. Observe the breath, observe the body, observe the mind, objectively, without judgment or intervention. When we practice meditation, we gradually calm the storms in our souls, dispel the dark clouds obscuring wisdom. We will discover a space of stillness, peace, and clarity, which is always present within us, like a clear lake hidden beneath layers of mud. In that space of stillness, we will find true peace, eternal bliss. Besides meditation, reading books is also an effective method to return to inner energy. Reading books not only helps us expand our knowledge, but also helps us nurture our souls, cultivate wisdom, and foster virtues. Choose valuable books, classics, teachings of sages, humanistic stories, and life lessons. When we read books, it is as if we are conversing with noble souls, accessing profound thoughts, and being inspired and motivated to live a more meaningful life. Or simply sitting quietly to contemplate the scenery, this is also a wonderful way to return to inner energy. In modern life, we are often caught up in busy activities, stressful jobs, and social pressures. We forget to immerse ourselves in nature, enjoy the beauty of the earth and sky, and feel life flowing around us. Take time to sit quietly and contemplate the scenery, be it a lush garden, a peaceful river, a majestic mountain, or a vast sky. When we immerse ourselves in nature, our souls become open, relaxed, and light. We will feel a deep connection to the universe, to all things, and find peace and joy in every moment. Rediscover the passions and hobbies that have been forgotten, and nurture them with the stillness of old age. Throughout our youth, we often have to set aside personal passions and hobbies to focus on work, family, and social responsibilities. In old age, as the burdens of responsibility gradually lessen, this is an opportunity for us to rediscover those passions and hobbies that have been forgotten, such as painting, singing, playing music, gardening, writing, traveling, researching. Nurture those passions and hobbies with the stillness of old age. No longer having to chase external goals, no longer having to prove ourselves to others, we can enjoy passions and hobbies fully, with tranquility, peace, and self-sufficiency. These passions and hobbies will bring us joy, excitement, and meaning in the twilight years of life. Returning to inner energy is not an easy process, but it requires perseverance, patience, and determination. But the rewards we receive will be immensely worthwhile: inner peace, inherent self-respect, and true happiness, eternal bliss. And when we have reclaimed this inner energy source, we will be ready to step into the next stage, the stage of the power of stillness. And when inner energy has been awakened and nurtured, we will gradually feel an invisible strength, a latent resource, which is the power of stillness. In a noisy and bustling world, silence is often underestimated, even despised. But Buddhist teachings affirm that stillness becomes a luxury because it contains immense power, profound wisdom, which we will explore together in the next stage. Indeed, you have touched upon an aspect of profound depth and practicality in spiritual life, which is the power of stillness. In this modern, noisy, and bustling world, where sounds and information surround us from all sides, silence becomes a luxury, something rare, precious, and extremely necessary to nourish the soul and wisdom. We are living in an era of noise. Not just physical noise from vehicles, construction sites, factories, but also mental noise from social media, news, advertisements, meaningless conversations, and worldly anxieties. We are constantly attacked by information, caught up in streams of thoughts, emotions, and external stimuli, to the point of forgetting the inherent stillness within us. In Buddhism, silence is not merely about not speaking or making sounds. It is a form of wisdom and inner strength, a state of pure, quiet mind, where wisdom and compassion can arise and shine. Silence is not an escape from life, but a means for us to face life more deeply, wisely, and peacefully. In this noisy world, we often tend to talk too much. We talk to fill the void, to hide insecurity, to assert ourselves, to attract attention, to relieve emotions, even to kill time. We speak without thinking, speak without listening, speak without really having anything important to say. Words become cheap, lose value, and sometimes cause hurt, misunderstandings, and conflicts. Buddhist teachings instruct us to learn to choose words. Not to prohibit speaking, but to practice right speech, which is speaking truthfully, harmoniously, beneficially, and at the right time. We should only speak when truly necessary, when our words can bring benefit and peace to ourselves and others. Before speaking, think carefully: are these words truthful? Are they harmonious? Are they beneficial? Are they timely? If the answer is no, it is best to remain silent. Sometimes, silence is more powerful than 1,000 words. This saying contains a profound truth. In many situations, words can become meaningless, even counterproductive. When we are angry, sad, or agitated, words can become harsh, hurtful, and make the situation worse. In such moments, silence can be a wiser choice, helping us calm down, control emotions, and avoid causing regrettable consequences. In communication, silence can also be a powerful tool. When we listen in silence, we show respect, care, and understanding to the other person. Silence allows us to listen more deeply, not just to the words, but also to the emotions, the messages hidden behind the words. Silence helps us understand more clearly about others, about the situation, and about ourselves. In spiritual practice, silence is a key element. Meditation, an important practice in Buddhism, largely relies on silence. When we meditate, we create a space of stillness in our souls, where we can observe thoughts, emotions, wandering thoughts, and afflictions objectively, without judgment or intervention. In the stillness of meditation, wisdom can arise, insight can be opened, and we can react more wisely to all changes in life. In modern life, practicing the power of stillness may seem like a big challenge. We are surrounded by noise from work, family, society, from technological devices, from our own minds. But it is precisely in this noisy context that stillness becomes even more precious, even more necessary for us to maintain balance, mindfulness, and peace in life. So how can we practice the power of stillness in modern life? Here are a few suggestions. 1. Create quiet space in the day. Set aside a certain amount of time each day, even if just a few minutes, to create quiet space for yourself. It could be early in the morning, before starting a new day, or late in the evening, before going to bed. Find a quiet place, turn off all electronic devices, and simply sit still. No need to try to control thoughts, just observe what is happening in your mind, like an objective person watching a river flow. 2. Practice meditation. Meditation is an effective method to cultivate the power of stillness. There are many different meditation methods, but they all basically focus on paying attention to the breath, or observing the senses, or contemplating a topic. Start with short meditation sessions, about 5 to 10 minutes each day, and gradually increase the duration as you become more comfortable. There are many online meditation guides, books, and meditation classes that you can refer to. 3. Listen in silence. In communication, practice listening in silence. When others speak, focus entirely on listening, without interrupting, without judging, without rushing to give opinions. Let the speaker feel respected, heard, and understood. After the speaker has finished presenting, take a moment of silence to reflect on what you have just heard before giving feedback. This silence will help you understand the speaker's message better and respond more appropriately. 4. Select information. In the age of information explosion, we need to learn to select information. Not all information is valuable or beneficial. Limit exposure to negative, useless, and mind-distracting information. Focus on valuable, meaningful information that can help us develop ourselves and contribute to society. Spend time reading books, learning new things, instead of mindlessly surfing social media. 5. Silence in speech. Practice silence in speech, that is, speak less, speak more valuable words. Before saying anything, ask yourself, is this word necessary? Is it beneficial? Could it hurt anyone? If the answer is no, or uncertain, it is best to remain silent. Learn to speak when necessary, be silent when appropriate. The value of words lies not in quantity, but in quality. 6. Enjoy the stillness of nature. Nature is an endless source of stillness. Spend time immersing yourself in nature, walking in the forest, sitting by the sea, watching the sky, listening to birds singing, wind blowing, waves lapping. Nature will help us calm our souls, relieve stress, and reconnect with our inherent stillness. Practicing the power of stillness is not an easy task, but it is a worthwhile journey. As we gradually master the stillness within ourselves, we will become wiser, stronger, and more peaceful. We will have the ability to listen more deeply, understand more clearly, and react more wisely to all changes in life. Stillness is not an escape from life, but a solid foundation for us to live a meaningful, complete, and happy life. And when we have found the power of stillness within ourselves, when we have cultivated the ability to listen deeply, understand clearly, and react wisely, we will be ready to step into the next stage, the stage of observing the flow of life. From inner stillness, we will be able to perceive life more objectively, more compassionately, and more acceptingly, like a river flowing endlessly, with bends, rapids, and unique beauties in every moment. Indeed, you have guided us to a deeper understanding of the nature of life, which is the unceasing flow. After experiences, through ups and downs, joys and sorrows, we gradually realize that this life is not a still picture, but a dynamic river, constantly moving, changing, flowing endlessly from one moment to the next. Throughout our human journey, we often tend to cling to what is good, wanting to control what is happening, wishing to create a stable, secure, and permanent life. We hold on to successes, relationships, material possessions, fame, and pleasures, as if they were solid islands in the river of impermanence. But then, life always proves to us that everything is impermanent, everything changes, everything is unsustainable. Successes will eventually pass, relationships may dissolve, material possessions will wear out, fame will fade, and pleasures will become monotonous. Even ourselves, this body, this mind, are constantly changing, from the moment of birth until returning to dust. When we realize the impermanent nature of life, we will no longer desperately try to cling, hold on, or control. We will learn to observe the flow of life calmly, like someone standing by the riverbank, leisurely watching the water flow, without trying to stop it, without trying to change its natural course. Wisdom is rarely accepted when given unasked. This is a harsh but very true reality in life. When we have experienced and learned valuable lessons, we often tend to share our experiences and insights with those around us, especially loved ones. We want to help them avoid the mistakes and sufferings we have gone through. But ironically, the wisdom we want to impart is often not accepted, especially when it is given unasked. Why is this so? Because each person has their own path, their own lessons to experience. No one can live life for another, no one can learn lessons for another. Each of us must walk our own path, stumble ourselves, rise ourselves, and learn from our own mistakes and experiences. Wisdom and understanding can only truly permeate when they are self-experienced and self-enlightened. When we try to impose our wisdom on others, we inadvertently intrude on their private space, their freedom of choice. We forget that each person has their own ego, their own self, and no one wants to be lectured, criticized, or controlled by others. Wisdom, when given at the wrong time, in the wrong way, to the wrong person, can become a burden, an annoyance, even an offense to the recipient. In modern life, this becomes even clearer. We live in a diverse, multidimensional society, with countless viewpoints, values, and lifestyles. Social media and the internet bring us a vast amount of information, but also create a noisy, chaotic environment, full of conflicting opinions. In this context, wisdom becomes even harder to accept, because everyone believes they are right, they are smart, they know everything. We often see on social media endless arguments, harsh criticisms, and uncivilized personal attacks. People compete to express their views, defend their opinions, forgetting to listen, respect, and understand others. Wisdom, in this noisy environment, seems to be submerged, overwhelmed by loud, meaningless voices. So, what should we do when we want to share our wisdom with others? Buddhist teachings instruct us to, instead of trying to intervene and change others, learn to observe the flow of life calmly. This does not mean we become indifferent, irresponsible, or uncaring about those around us. On the contrary, it means we learn to respect differences, respect each person's unique path, and trust in each person's ability to learn and grow. Observing here is not just seeing with the eyes, but also listening with the heart. Observe those around you with compassion, with understanding, with patience. Listen to their sharing, their confidences, their difficulties, their joys, sincerely, without judgment, without rushing to give advice. Let them feel heard, understood, and respected. When we observe calmly, we will realize that each person has their own suffering, their own problems, their own lessons to experience. We will no longer try to impose our views on them, no longer try to change them according to our will, but will learn to accompany, share, and support them on their own path. Detachment is not indifference, but trust in the natural progression of life. This is a profound definition of letting go in Buddhism. Detachment does not mean we sever all relationships, becoming cold and emotionless. On the contrary, it means we learn to maintain healthy boundaries in relationships, not being overly attached, overly controlling, or overly expectant. Detachment is trust in the natural progression of life, in the law of cause and effect, in each person's ability to self-heal and self-grow. We believe that each person has enough resources, enough ability to overcome difficulties and challenges in life, to learn from mistakes and stumbles, and to find their own right path. When we detach properly, we will free ourselves from unnecessary burdens, worries, and afflictions. We will no longer be caught up in dramas, conflicts, and meaningless arguments. We will have more space, more time, more energy to focus on spiritual practice, self-development, and helping others more practically. Let everything happen according to its own law, like flowers blooming and then withering, like the moon waxing and waning. This is invaluable advice, helping us live peacefully and freely amidst the impermanent flow of life. Life is inherently a series of changes, ups and downs, unions and separations, gains and losses. Nothing is eternal, nothing is immutable. Everything is born, exists, and decays according to its natural law. Flowers bloom and then wither, that is the law of flowers. The moon waxes and wanes, that is the law of the moon. Birth, aging, sickness, death, that is the law of humans. Formation, existence, destruction, nothingness, that is the law of the world. We cannot prevent flowers from withering, cannot keep the moon always full, cannot avoid birth, aging, sickness, and death, cannot resist the law of formation, existence, destruction, and nothingness of the world. Instead of trying to resist natural law, learn to go with the flow of nature, immerse yourself in the flow of life. Accept that everything is impermanent, everything changes, everything is imperfect. Cherish the present moments, what you have, the relationships around you, and live each moment fully. We just need to stand by the riverbank of life, smile and observe, and learn to accept everything. Imagine ourselves as someone standing by the riverbank, leisurely watching the water flow. The river of life will bring us beautiful scenery, interesting things, but there will also be times of storms, floods, difficulties, and challenges. Smile and observe everything without excessive joy, without pessimistic sadness, without judgment, without expectation. Learning to accept everything, this is the key to opening the door to liberation from suffering. Acceptance is not resignation or surrender, but understanding and embracing reality, no matter what it may be. Accept that life is inherently like this, with joy and sorrow, gain and loss, success and failure. Accept that people are inherently like this, with good and bad, right and wrong, love and hate. Accept that you yourself are also imperfect, with strengths and weaknesses, with times of right and wrong. When we accept everything, we will no longer resent life, no longer blame others, no longer torment ourselves. We will find peace in our souls, joy in life, and freedom in our minds. We will live a life of ease and freedom, peace amidst the flow of life, like a lotus flower blooming in the mud, still fragrant, still keeping its pure and pristine beauty. And when we have learned to observe the flow of life calmly, when we have accepted the impermanent nature of life, when we have let go of intervention and control, it is also when we are ready to step into the final stage, the stage of liberation from the cage of approval. One of the chains that bind people to suffering, to the cycle of birth and death, is the need for approval, a deep longing in the soul, but also a source of countless afflictions, which we will explore and overcome together in the next stage. Indeed, you have raised a pivotal point, arguably the very heart of all suffering that sentient beings endure, and that is the need for approval. Throughout the cycle of birth and death, we are incessantly confined within this invisible cage, self-creating chains that bind us, losing the inherent freedom and happiness. The need for approval is a deep-seated longing, ingrained in the subconscious of every human being. From birth, we are taught and molded to become good members of family, society, and community. We learn to please parents, teachers, friends, colleagues, superiors, and even strangers. We yearn to be loved, recognized, respected, praised, and accepted. And our greatest fear, perhaps, is to be rejected, abandoned, isolated, underestimated, criticized, or condemned. This need is not innate, but is formed and reinforced through maturation, life experiences, and interactions with the surrounding environment. Society, family, culture, religion, all contribute to nurturing and solidifying the need for approval within us. From parental praise and criticism in childhood, to teacher evaluations in school, to societal standards of success, to peer pressure, we are constantly programmed to live according to the expectations of others, to seek self-worth externally. In modern life, the need for approval has become even more potent and complex than ever. The rise of social media and the internet has created a virtual environment where we easily compare ourselves to others, easily get caught in the vortex of competition, rivalry, ostentation, and pretense. Social media becomes a grand stage where we try to perform a perfect role, to attract attention, affection, and admiration from a virtual audience. We post glamorous photos, profound statuses, interesting stories, to get likes, get shares, get comments. We measure our self-worth by the number of likes, followers, and views. We become addicted to virtual recognition, and feel insecure and empty when we do not receive the attention we expect. We lose our naturalness, authenticity, freedom, and become slaves to the need for approval. In work, the need for approval also greatly influences our behavior and decisions. We strive to work hard, dedicate ourselves wholeheartedly, not just for passion or responsibility, but also for the desire to be valued by superiors, admired by colleagues, and recognized by society. We fear criticism, reprimand, being underestimated, job loss, and falling behind others. We work under stress, pressure, and anxiety, losing joy, creativity, and excitement in our work. In relationships, the need for approval also causes no small amount of suffering. We try to please our lovers, spouses, friends, and relatives by indulging their wishes, yielding to them, sacrificing ourselves. We fear displeasing them, fear being rejected, abandoned, fear being lonely and isolated. We lose our autonomy, independence, and self-opinion, becoming shadows of others. When efforts to please are not reciprocated, or when betrayed or hurt, we feel pain, disappointment, and lose faith in relationships. Buddhist teachings state that true happiness comes from understanding oneself, not from external recognition. This is a liberating truth, a priceless advice, helping us break free from the cage of approval, rediscovering true freedom and happiness. Understanding oneself here is not merely understanding one's personality, preferences, abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. It is also understanding one's true nature, the inherent Buddha nature within each of us, the emptiness of all phenomena, the selflessness of the ego. When we understand ourselves deeply, we will realize that our value does not depend on external evaluations, praise, or recognition. Our value does not lie in successes, status, material possessions, or social relationships. Our value lies in the inherent goodness in our souls, in the pure, clear, compassionate, and equanimous Buddha nature, which is always present within us, no matter how the external world changes. True happiness is not a temporary, fleeting emotion dependent on external conditions, but a state of peace, freedom, and liberation from within, uninfluenced by life's vicissitudes. True happiness is not external recognition, because external recognition is always changing, always uncertain, always dependent on subjective opinions of others. Today people may praise us, tomorrow they may criticize us. Today people may cherish us, tomorrow they may despise us. If we place our happiness in external recognition, we will forever live in insecurity, anxiety, and disappointment. To liberate ourselves from the cage of approval, we need to let go of the burden of expectation. Expectation of recognition from others, expectation of returned love, expectation of a perfect life, without suffering or change. These expectations are the invisible chains that bind us to the cage of approval. When we let go of these expectations, we will liberate ourselves from constraints, pressures, anxieties, and rediscover inherent freedom and peace. Redefine the source of your value. Instead of seeking self-worth externally, turn inward, discover the inherent goodness within your soul. Recognize your intrinsic values, such as compassion, wisdom, patience, tolerance, truthfulness, humility, gratitude, and unconditional love. These are the true, lasting sources of value, and no one can take them away from us. Nurture these virtues, cultivate morality, wisdom, and meditation. Live a life of mindfulness, awareness, altruism, and spiritual aspiration. Contribute to society, help those around you, bring benefit and peace to life. When we live such a meaningful life, our value will naturally shine, without needing to seek external approval. And finally, seek self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is not complacency, arrogance, or conceit, but understanding and loving oneself unconditionally, whether we have strengths or weaknesses, successes or failures, times of right or wrong. Accept yourself as you are, with all your advantages and disadvantages, with all your past and present, with all your potentials and limitations. Love and cherish yourself, in any circumstance. This is a crucial lesson, especially in modern society, where we are easily judged, compared, and criticized. Remember that you are a unique and priceless individual in this universe. You have latent Buddha nature, you have the potential for enlightenment and liberation. You deserve to be loved, to be happy, to be peaceful, without having to prove your worth to anyone. When we accept ourselves, we will no longer live for the gaze of others, no longer try to please everyone, no longer fear rejection or abandonment. We will live a life of freedom, autonomy, self-sufficiency, and serenity. We will find true happiness from within, a happiness that does not depend on any external conditions, an eternal happiness that never fades. To liberate ourselves from the cage of approval, we need to practice the Noble Eightfold Path, the path of practice taught by the Buddha. Right view helps us understand correctly the nature of suffering and happiness, the need for approval, and self-worth. Right thought helps us think rightly, virtuously, and liberate ourselves from delusions and attachments. Right speech, right action, right livelihood help us live a moral, pure, and beneficial life. Right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration help us train our minds, develop wisdom, and achieve complete liberation. The journey to liberation from the cage of approval is a long journey, requiring perseverance, patience, and determination. But the reward we receive will be immensely worthwhile: true freedom, happiness, and peace, unlimited, unconditional, and never lost. Be brave to step out of the cage of approval, discover your true nature, and live a meaningful and complete life in the light of Buddhist wisdom. And so, our contemplation journey today comes to a close. We have journeyed together through the stages of old age, from disillusionment with expectations, to returning to inner energy, the power of stillness, learning to observe the flow of life, and finally, liberation from the bonds of approval. May these sharings be a precious guide, helping you to firmly step on the path of seeking true happiness. Remember that peace and happiness are always present right within each person's mind. Wishing you always peace and diligence on your path of practice.